Hey, what's up? Welcome to another college football Saturday. It is week 3 of the Johnston RV Center Saturday preview presented by Champy's Chicken. And we thank Johnston RV and Champy's, lanceslock.com, mybookie.ag, all of our sponsors. We got a lot of games to get to. It might be a dull day based on the schedule, but we found some gems out there for you. Speaking of Jim, there is Jim Dunaway. What is up, Dunaway? How are you?
Hey, very good, guys. Nice seeing you.
Good to see you. Lance Taylor and his Rowback, TNR20 at checkout for
Yeah,
Rowback.
where
Those
are we?
pullovers, those hoodies are sweet.
Yeah, really are. You can get 3 of them for what I paid for this one from Coastal. If you use promo code TNR20, you get 3 of them for
And you
what I
can
paid for this
actually
one.
see the price very clear when you go to Robot.
Yes, with or without glasses.
Yeah, that was one of those where Dunaway just whipped out the credit card and saw later. Oh, okay, that's what I paid for that. We got a lot to get to. We could start with last night. I think Tony Elliott may not survive the year. I don't know how serious Virginia is about football. Well, I don't think very serious, but I don't know if they would fire a coach. But Maryland scalded them last night, 42-14 in College Park. Dunaway, I don't know if Tony Elliott, I don't really remember if it was viewed as a good hire, bad hire. He was the offensive coordinator at Clemson, but it ain't working at Virginia.
Well, I think we all decided that why did he take that job? It was a tough job. He had his choices of a couple of jobs for a while because Clemson was that good. He just stayed maybe a year too long and ended up with the Virginia job. Because I think when he took it, Lance, wasn't that the year that just really no good jobs opened? Like he decided, okay, this is the year I'm going to leave, and no good job opened up, and he ended up at Virginia. But when I turned it on, it was 14-0 Virginia, and I thought this was going to be a horrible loss for Loxley.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And then the onslaught when you have a 42-0 run to close out the game ain't good. Yeah, they're tough to watch. You know, it was a good game last week against James Madison. James Madison's pretty good, but you lose at home to James Madison. You get pistol whipped week 1 against Tennessee, last night against Maryland. Yeah, it's been bad football. And not that we can really remember when Virginia football was good. George Welsh, had them there for a little bit with the Barber brothers. We remember the upset on Thursday night against Florida State back in the 90s. But, man, and then early on in the 90s, that was a pretty good Virginia team. But more so than not, man, that's a bad product.
I felt like Bronco Mendenhall at least had them consistent. I mean, they weren't great, but they were better than this, right? And they were at least consistent. Yeah, Bronco Mendenhall. And they didn't fire him. He just it was kind of weird, right? He just walked away.
Well, I thought it was weird that he left BYU to go to Virginia. BYU's a better program. You guys would give me that, especially now in the Big 12. So that was always an interesting move that he did that. And yeah, he had him competitive. I mean, 2 years ago, again, I was talking about Brennan Armstrong was one of the better quarterbacks in all of college football, and he's really regressed. But I don't know, man. It's a bad product, and I don't know. And you said this, Brown. I don't know what commitment they have to football there.
Yeah. Truthfully, though, when you think about ACC games, right, you get good matchups occasionally, right? Duke's good now, but they're not traditionally. North Carolina's okay traditionally. Clemson, Florida State, Miami. After that, I mean, you struggle. I mean, you get a lot of games. Wake was good for a while with Sam Hartman and stuff, but there are a lot of games week in and week out. You're like, I don't think I'm going to watch any of that. A little Virginia. Yep. I know it was Virginia and now Maryland of the Big Ten, but they used to be in the ACC together, and that used to be a lot of football, and you'd go, not going to really watch that this weekend. And that's what you get with a lot of Virginia games, in my opinion.
Well, ACC Network, I mean, how often do you guys put it on? I'm on still, I don't know why I am on DirecTV, but it's channel 612.
Yeah.
Today, Northwestern and Duke, I seriously doubt that will be in my 2:30 window. And then later.
If ever there were a day, it'd be today.
And then Florida Atlantic and Clemson, the primetime game.
No, thank you. No, thank you. First person in the chat room, the queen of content, Taylor Corn, with a yo. Morning, little T. You can drop your comments in the comment room and the chat room there, and we'll get to them as we can. Johnston RV Center brings you the show. The number 1 Cherokee dealer in Alabama. It's the number 1 brand in Alabama, the number 1 brand in the nation. And they got them as low as $199 a month. They're at Johnston RV Center, I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. Lance will have – you've got 15 games up at Lance'sLock.com. I counted them this week because I had it wrong last week. 15 games. I heard Dunaway. I heard Lance yesterday after the show asked somebody, is 17 games too many? And I guess it was determined 17 games was too many, so he was going to pare it down. Pared it down to 15.
And what's crazy, I got 2 14 parlays today, not 1 16, but 2 14 parlays. And I sent it to him last night, and that's 8 games. He says, I'm not playing any of those. So I picked 8 games that I'm playing. He's not playing any of those to get 15.
A lot of games out there. Again, this is a terrible slate as far as, if you're just a casual college football fan. I'm sure we'll find some great upsets. We've talked about those this week. But what makes a terrible college football slate better? A lot of plays. I had right at 19. I did pare them down. Again, we're playing units this year, which has been good and it has been bad. Last night was awful with Texas San Antonio. I'm sure we'll get to that game. But, yeah, I've gotten down to 15, and I've got games in every window outside of the 11 o'clock window. But starting at 2:30, man, if you're on Lance'sLock.com, you're going to have a lot of action.
Yeah. All right, a couple questions before we get to the games. Pritchlaw does say, how about Army last night? Brett out there driving a truck asked what happened to UTSA. Army ran it right down their throat. Frank Harris was out in that game, Lance, but boy, that's a tough loss. UTSA now 1-2. We thought that might be a team that is the best Group of 5 team in America. They've started off 1-2.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be really good this year, and it was swing and a miss. But with Frank Harris, a 7th-year quarterback, being out with the toe injury, you're missing your tackle. Just a lot of injuries there. But I'll say this, first drive, I think it was 7.5 minutes. They go down. It's like 15 plays. I mean, they're so well coached, and that was about as clean a football as you'll ever see is what Army played. We talk about 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Today's football is 4 yards in a cloud of dust. They averaged 3.9 per carry, 44 minutes time of possession, 0 turnovers, and 0 penalties. Yeah. Again, and they only win the game by 8 with a backup quarterback against them. But, I mean, they played completely clean football. You saw Monkey was pumping the fist after the game last night. That win meant a lot to Army.
Yeah, it really did. Big military town down in that part of the country. So there were a lot of folks there. I would say this, that, Frank Harris, they're saving him for the American. That was the choice they made last night because of the toe injury. But that loss to Houston was surprising. But for Army, they throw the ball around a little bit more. It makes it a little bit more interesting to watch. And it was a fun game. That was on my main TV once Talia got hot there in College Park.
Yeah, they actually threw it late on that 3rd down. I was a little surprised because it was that's a highly, highly improbable play for them to convert with their offense. And it stopped the clock. And that was what actually gave UTSA a little bit of hope, was that the clock stopped there. So, you're right, Dunaway. It's not necessarily what they've always run as far as the triple option, but it is, look, they got the win. And as you said, that was almost like a home crowd for them because of the military presence there in San Antonio.
I know we'll get to Bama in a little bit, but this would be like Tyler Buckner throwing the football 50 times. I mean, Army had 18 attempts last night. And I'll tell you, to me, the play of the game was early on. Texas San Antonio had just gotten a first down. They fumbled. They were down 7-0 right there at midfield. And then on first down, I think they had a tackle for loss for like 6 yards. So it was like 2nd and 16. And then on that 3rd down, they threw it and got the pass interference, which was a little questionable, but that led to 14-0. And I think if they punt there, I think it's a different game. But anyway, it was a bad play. We had Texas San Antonio minus 7.5, but we bounced back 15 plays today at Lance'sLock.com.
Hey, Brian, they just did a trivia question, Brown, on game day, and I don't know the answer. I haven't seen the answer yet. And I'm interested if you guys are. I think one of them is Bear Bryant. They're asking, who are the last 2 Alabama coaches when Colorado started the season off 2-0 and Alabama started the season off 1-1? I think, ironically, one of them is going to be Bear Bryant because of I don't know if Colorado beat them or not. Could you guess who the other one is? We'll see the answer later.
1990, when Colorado won the national championship, Stallings was 0-3 to start the season.
So that's a good one. So.
Well, no, but he was 0-3. He wasn't 1-1. He was 0-3. If you remember, Stallings lost his first 3 games. That would immediately be my guess. The last time Colorado started 2-0.
Yeah, I remember that was my freshman year in So
I'll go Bear Bryant and Bill Curry then maybe.
The year Mike McIntyre took them to the game, the Big 12 championship, I think they were 2-0.
2016.
So that'd be Nick Saban.
Yeah.
And was Alabama 1, but they weren't 1-1 in 16. God, what a weird question that is.
It is.
It's a weird question.
It's one of those weeks. It's one of those weeks everyone's trying to fill content.
Yeah. It's probably going to be Ears Whitworth and Wallace Wade. We're way overthinking this. Hey, Brian says he's making his picks for a pick'em league. Any outright upsets he needs to consider? I mean, we'll get to those as we go. Does one jump out at either one of you guys, though? Jim, I know you got a parlay. You got a good upset for Brian?
Oh, outright upset?
Yeah, I got a few for him, and these are games that I wiped out. And typically when I wipe games out, but Dunaway, if you want to go ahead, I've got 3 or 4.
So when you wipe a game out, it typically hits, Lance?
Yeah, always.
Just outright upsets, I do not have any. I'm really, 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 I'm interested in, I know this sounds weird, but I have a bad feeling about Wisconsin coming back this week after what they did with Georgia Southern coming to town. It could be one of those sneaky bad first-year losses, but there's no way I would play that to win outright or anything. So I really don't have one. LT, what do you have?
Yeah, the Wisconsin, it's one of those that I would have played. Ended up staying away, but it was 11 o'clock, right?
Yeah, I think so, yes.
Yeah. I think Wisconsin has heard a lot of people picking Georgia Southern to win that game. Okay, a couple of 11 o'clocks, Missouri. I think it's going to be a really, really tricky game for Kansas State. So I would take a hard look at Missouri. I also think in the 6 o'clock window, I totally stayed away from Florida and Tennessee. I know the Brown Bandits got Florida to win the game outright.
That's right.
That's one to take a look at. And then a game
down to 5.5, by the way, at mybookie.ag this morning. Tennessee down to 5.5 on that game.
Yeah, man, that's a weird number. And then another one that I ended up staying away from is Minnesota. Dunaway, I think you got Minnesota.
No, you got UNC's favored 7. Minnesota coming to Chapel Hill. That's a 2:30 ESPN kick. Dunaway.
Remember, I love the under in that game. The under in that game was the way I like that one. But that is a play on my sheet. North Carolina, Tennessee, Missouri. I've got all of them in my parlays. Yeah.
Johnston RV Center bringing you the shows they do every week. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 indicator, johnstonrvcenter.com. And Dunaway, also our boy Sterling down at Champy's.
That's right. Sterling, if you hit my parlay, I want you to do that. If you hit either one of my 14 parlays, I want you to go there and spend some extra money on chicken, Southern fried chicken, hand-cut chicken fingers, the wonderful, wonderful service you get there. Appetizers are to go with the Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. It's all on Highway 119 in Alabaster. It is Champy's Chicken, champyschicken.com. Perfect for your tailgates or watching football at home or even your holiday parties when we get around to that.
All right, so there's a lot of people over in the chat room there, Vulcan Tire and Automotive chat room, talking about Tyler Buckner starting. As we wrapped the show yesterday, I know Lance and I felt pretty good about it. I think Dunaway was kind of coming around to it. And as the afternoon unfolded, Chris Lowe, John Talty, a lot of people reporting that it's going to happen, or at least expected to happen. I think, as we said on the show, you always have to put expected in there. The kid could wake up with a stomach virus this morning. You never know. But barring any last-minute setback, Dunaway, it looks like Tyler Buckner's getting the start today down in Tampa.
My point is, and I've said this all week long, I don't think the quarterback, though those interceptions were bad, I don't think the quarterback lost the game. Offensive line didn't play as well as I think they need to against a team like Texas. The secondary, you go find Marlon Humphrey's podcast, the Baltimore Raven. They have I forget the lady's name. I think it's Cheryl, Big Cheryl. And he breaks down that in defensive back terms, they always talk about Big Cheryl, which is the receiver they flash up in the front of the coverage, and all the good-looking women at a club are behind you, and Big Cheryl's on the dance floor in front, and you guys were biting on Big Cheryl, and all the 5-stars are in the back of the club, and that's where you got to keep your eyes in the back of the club. And it's a great breakdown of how the Alabama secondary were just biting on the eye candy and getting beat deep. I mean, those are concerning things too. And I don't think Tyler Buckner is the answer to the secondary playing better, the offensive line playing better, the defensive line and linebackers, getting pressure on the quarterback, the scheme of getting pressure on the quarterback. So maybe maybe it'll look better with Tyler Buckner back there. But when it gets to like opponents again, Alabama's got to fix those problems too, not just the quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know what to expect. If Tyler Buckner was the best option, he would have started the first couple of games this year. And we'll see what happens when the lights are on. Watching Buckner last year, I mean, he made mistakes. He threw that awful pick six that ultimately lost the game for Notre Dame against Marshall. And, he's more athletic than people give him credit for, but he's still not that physical presence that you've got with Jalen Milroe. It's not a guy you're going to design plays for. Not that Tommy Rees really designed plays for Jalen Milroe last week.
Exactly.
Did that, but I don't know. I mean, it makes the game a little more exciting for me to watch at 2:30. I mean, I typically don't get excited about watching 33-point favorites, although I do have some big numbers. Lance'sLock.com today.
You do.
I don't know what to expect. I think he'll play well. I mean, South Florida sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason Bama's a 33.5-point favorite, and it's regardless of quarterback. The change the time to Buckner didn't really affect that much, I don't think. Total of 61 in that game. We'll get to it in a minute. Auburn playing Samford. Obviously, there's no official line on that game. Someone was asking if there's one renegade line, rogue line out there. Lance, have you seen one, what Auburn would be over Samford?
Yeah, I've got it. Hold on one sec. I saw it last night. But yeah, you can play this. I mean, most local, obviously, mybookie.ag. I don't know if they've got anything on it.
I didn't see it on there. I looked this morning. I did not see it at mybookie.ag.
Yeah, there are certain people. We were talking about high school football.
Yeah, if you bet on high school.
Those numbers. So there are places you can actually get a number. You just got to shop around for it.
You'll have it when we get around there. That is a 6 o'clock game. EG will join us in a little bit. Number 13. She's on her way to that game today. All right, Kansas State, Dunaway, -3 at Missouri. Lance just talked about that as a possible upset. Missouri sold this game out. It's 11 o'clock SEC Network. Total of 49 in this game. If Missouri Dunaway wins this game, it is to date the biggest out-of-conference win the SEC's had this season.
Yeah, absolutely. But I would tell you that this team beat Troy and Kansas State. Did Will Howard had 5 touchdowns, and I have great respect for Troy and the football team that they put on the field. That was an impressive win by Kansas State last week. And the ability to run and catch of Phillip Brooks and this Kansas State team. I understand why everybody's picking Missouri because Brady Cook has looked good. There's a chance Missouri's going to be 3-0 with a win over a top 25 team. That would be fantastic. I get a feeling Lance thinks Missouri wins this one. And if they do, it'll be a massive win. Last year it was 42-13, something like that last year. And it's hard to imagine they've closed the gap that much, but maybe they have. I can't wait to see this one. This is one of my excited viewing menu games today.
Games of the day. Hey, Bobby says, Lance, did Kansas State open this at -6 and drop this low? If so, why?
So Furman said that yesterday. I saw the opening number at 1.5 Kansas State, and I saw it jump up. Furman said it was the other way. He's a little more closely dialed in out there. The thing I would look for, Chris Kleiman, his defenses will get after you. And right now, Missouri, Brady Cook has played clean football, but they're 116th in sacks allowed. So the offensive line has not come together. Again, this number's kind of weird. I think it's going to be a tough game for Kansas State. But they did, as you said, they won 40-12 last year.
We got a delivery. DoorDash already at the Taylor house. Penn State Dunaway -14. Drew Aller and his crew going on the road to Illinois for the 11 a.m. Fox kick, big noon kick with Klatt and the gang there. To me, the thing to watch in this game is Drew Aller. I don't know. You Dunaway, I think this is going to be a better game than I do. But I am all in on this because I like the way Aller has played early.
Oh, I think it'll be like a 33-17 type game if you think that's good football. But usually the big noon kickoff, Klatt and Gus, they get blessed with great contests, surprising contests. And I would say if you look at this game in August, this would have been one you would have circled and said, before Penn State gets to, battling Ohio State and Michigan, they need to worry about a tricky road game in Champaign. It has not looked that way for Illinois. Aller's been good, and 6 yards a carry is what Illinois is giving up on the ground. And those two running backs for Penn State and that offensive line back, those guys can get after it running. In fact, one of their big offensive linemen who surprised everybody by coming back this year, he's going to be a first-round draft pick, would have been a first-round draft pick last year, and he's anchoring that offensive line. This Penn State team's really good.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is Nick Singleton and Katron Allen, who are now sophomores, you saw them a little bit in that Auburn game last year. Those guys really get after it. Physical running backs, explosive,
Yeah, it seems like he's an upgrade from what they had last year, but yet they're not playing as well. And remember, last time they were in Champaign, this game went to 9 overtimes. So
it will. I remember, and this will have no impact on today's game, but do you guys remember the Kerry Collins, Kajana Carter team that went to the Rose Bowl? I think their toughest win that year, if you'll remember, was at Illinois. In fact, I think they had to have a drive late in the game just to win it. That was back in '94. So I guess historically they've maybe had some issues there in Champaign, for whatever that's worth.
How about that? 30 years ago now. 94 is virtually 30 years ago.
That's sad, isn't it? Somebody asked earlier, I know it's an 11 o'clock game, so you're not going to play it, but your thoughts on LSU minus 9.5 this morning at mybookie.ag continues to creep up, minus 9.5 at Mississippi State. Total of 54 straight out of game day for that game on ESPN.
Yeah, again, Mississippi State was so sloppy. They won last week, but sloppy win. I think it's a good spot. Hey, Velociraptors. I think it's a good spot for LSU. I really do. We saw LSU come out against Florida State. That was a great game for 30 minutes. It completely fell apart in the second half. But I still think LSU is one of the best teams in college football. I think they'll show it today.
Yeah, I missed it. I was at the game last week, post game with Zach Arnett when he dropped the F-bomb on live television. He was so excited. I'm effed, he says. I'm scrambled right now after their late win over Arizona. It's a signature win. I've already seen the dog walk in Starkville on the SEC network. The fans are juiced. This could send their season in a special direction, but I just think LSU has gotten a lot of bad press from losing to a really, really good Florida State team. I like LSU in this one.
Yeah, weird to see Mississippi State second in the conference in both rush attempts and in yards per game rushing, and they've got the leading rusher in the SEC. Just a weird flip on offense that Zach Arnett has been able to pull off pretty quickly. His biggest test on that, though, is tonight. All right, let's move to the 2:30 window. We'll start with Georgia, South Carolina. It will be on CBS opposite the Bama, South Florida game. Georgia this morning at mybookie.ag, code next round. A 27-point favorite, total of 54.5 Dunaway. I am interested to see what the Dogs look like early. That's been their biggest criticism, is how slow they have started these games against UT Martin and Ball State.
Yeah, but if you're an Alabama fan, you've experienced this before. You just you get so used to their back-to-back defending national champions. They are a team that, you look at their schedule, there's only 1 or 2 games that probably get their blood boiling like a playoff game. They're counting down the weeks all the way to SEC championship. It's envious and at the same time sad when you get to that point as a program, because you want to value every week. The first 2 weeks were just mail-in situations. I think they get their blood going a little bit with South Carolina. The question for me is, can that South Carolina offensive line protect Spencer Rattler? They could not against North Carolina, and Georgia will be like North Carolina's pressure, on full speed at that point. So this will be crazy to see if Carolina can keep Rattler upright.
Yeah, I mean, they give up 9 sacks against North Carolina. And North Carolina's defense, although it's improved in year 2 under Gene Chizik, it ain't Georgia. And so we get good Spencer Rattler, bad Spencer Rattler. I talked about this a couple of times this week. And last year it was bad Spencer Rattler in this spot. And, these teams have played a lot, but last year's 48-7 win in Columbia was the biggest margin ever in this matchup. And Rattler was terrible, 118 yards passing. He threw a couple of picks. And we'll get to see, to me, the interesting thing about this game is Carson Beck. I mean, he's going to be playing a legitimate defense. I mean, not a great defense, but we'll see how good Carson Beck is.
Absolutely. Interesting game there. And just to see how Georgia plays, see Carson Beck finally against an SEC defense as a starter. And Spencer Rattler, has not played awful, even though, maybe they were a little bit disappointed against North Carolina. It wasn't Spencer Rattler's fault. Georgia couldn't run the ball against North Carolina, South Carolina couldn't run the ball against North Carolina. Don't know that they're going to do it against Georgia. So that is a big problem in this game for them, obviously. 2:30 CBS. So CBS starts their final lap around the SEC. I mean, is that sentimental for either one of you that they're starting that final lap?
Not anymore, no.
Yeah, it was for a minute. I always talked about back in the day, I would drink Bud Light and Stella until I heard the CBS, and then I would
Right.
get on bourbon. But the older I've gotten, I've kind of flipped that around. But I didn't go get the antenna like you yesterday, Brown. So
Well, it's a waste of my time, Lance. I can't get. I got an antenna. Now I'm in a basement. Okay, so what you see behind me, this is all underground. No windows. Not a daylight basement. I like it cold and dark. I hooked the antenna up. I get WOTM and WVUA out of Tuscaloosa. That's all I could get on this both. I bought two antennas just to try them both and get nothing. So
I'm pulling out Uzi.
Yeah,
They say
amazing.
they're legal. I paid
Yep.
for it, so we're gonna jump on it.
Yeah, it's amazing that you get those two channels and nothing else. So
I mean, Dunaway, that's crazy, isn't it? I
Yeah,
mean,
'cause-
WVUA's out of Tuscaloosa, and I can't get CBS 42 off Red Mountain.
Yeah.
Whoa, it's crazy.
Yeah, I would say check and see if there's a switch somewhere on that cable that flip it to the other side and see if that helps you.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. Got to be
It's a
honest
little
with
box. It's a little
Very,
box. Just
yeah,
flick
very
it like this. Go, like that. See what channels you get then.
I'll try, man. I'll try. It's frustrating. I think Lance, my solution. I'm kind of like Lance. Everybody tells me Paramount Plus allows me to get the CBS game.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll get that. So
And it's like $7 a month, I think. So now I'm starting to do the math in my head for what I would pay for an over-the-air antenna. $7 a month. I can watch it all football season and then
So
cancel it. So
my Direct TV has the upstairs. One of my TVs is not working on demand. These are first world problems. But
I know.
the bedroom TV, Direct TV is not working at all. And so when you call them, they hassle you about, I need you to run the check and unplug this and grab the receiver and all this kind of stuff. I don't want to do it. So I need to get rid of all this stuff and start from scratch.
Well,
You
I am
do,
on
yes.
I'm on DirecTV Stream right now, and Dunaway, you had that for a little bit. I've quite liked it. So all the TVs behind me right here are DirecTV Stream. So I've been streaming for a little while and like it. It's just unfortunately it's still got the issue with CBS. I'm not getting CBS 42.
I know we don't get into the NFL on this particular show, but anybody in the chat room, and you guys might have the answer to this, but I've been in this house for a decade now, and so the four TVs can't really see where the angle are. So you do see one or two back there, but those aren't smart TVs. So should I get a Roku for the YouTube, or is there something else? I need four of them because, again, the only YouTube that's working are on my laptops or
All right.
big behind me.
Here's going to be your problem with Roku is if you get four Rokus in there, they don't have like the one remote will work them all. So you'll have everything going everywhere. But the good news is Roku has they've got a remote on your phone. That's for my upstairs TV. So then you can choose which TV you're doing, and it becomes a universal remote on your phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First world problems.
Or you can replace every one of those TVs for the headache, make them smart TVs, and just go to YouTube TV and it's fantastic.
So is YouTube TV, I mean, would I get HBO and everything else, or I just get HBO on its own?
You can pay for that. Yep.
Yeah, I need to do that. I mean, I don't want to tell you guys, I spend a lot on DirecTV because they jam you up. They charge me $10 per receiver.
Yeah. How about I was in the store. I was in Best Buy and Walmart yesterday getting these stupid antennas. And they're both, I was not looking for Roku, but there were people in there looking for Roku. They're completely sold out. And they're completely sold out because all the Alabama fans and Auburn fans bought them out the last couple of weeks because of the Spectrum deal. That's what they were saying. They were like, man, we had a bunch of them, but when Spectrum didn't have ESPN, Alabama and Auburn fans cleaned us out of Rokus, which is pretty funny. Good for them, I guess. They sold out.
But Lance, as we always say, I would check before you purchase because I don't know how many YouTube streams you can get in one house at one time. You're trying to feed, I think, 8 TVs. Is that right?
No, really, at a given time, 5, maybe 6.
Yeah, I don't know what the limit is.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, like all of them have an issue. Like all of them, they're not carrying like YouTube TV. You can't get Braves games if you're a Braves fan. And then, like you said, Dunaway, some of them you got limits, some of them you don't. One of them doesn't have CBS, one of them doesn't have NBC. It's just like it's this freaking minefield of you finally, you walk through this minefield trying to find the one that's got everything you need. You can't find it. It's ridiculous. The more choices we have, the worse it's gotten for us for some reason. I don't know why. All right, Minnesota. Let's go Alabama. Alabama 33.5 against USF. Total of 61 in this game. 2:30 ABC kick. We'll make a pick a little bit later on. You guys talked about Tyler Buckner a little bit. Outside of his play, Dunaway, what are you looking to see from the Crimson Tide?
I want to see the running game. I mean, 20 running back runs for 63 yards last week against Texas is not Alabama football. That was not championship winning football. And I want the secondary to be buttoned up. If you're going to get as Nick Saban told me Thursday night, you're going to get a situation where you're going to have an offense that looks a lot like Middle Tennessee. They run the old Tennessee offense because it's Tennessee's old offensive coordinator from last year, who's the head coach, first-year head coach at USF. So it'll be just like that Tennessee offense last year in Knoxville. So I want to see the secondary on the same page, and I want to see them dial up some freaking blitzes. Let's don't rush the quarterback with 3 or 4 players and let him. I mean, Quinn Ewers doesn't have to wash his away uniform. That's unacceptable.
Yeah, again, I think the running back rotation has been really strange. I was so excited about watching Jam Miller and Justice Haynes, and you really hadn't seen those guys. I mean, last week, Jam Miller got 2 touches. Justice didn't even play in the game. And I'm still waiting for a receiver, although I will say I did think Jermaine Burton was good last week. But, where's Malik Benson been? And Tyler Buckner. I mean, it's going to be interesting to watch him play. And I'm like you, Dunaway. I want to see them pressure South Florida. Didn't see it at all last week against Texas. And this is an opportunity for the defensive line and that front 7 to get a little confidence.
Yeah. All right, that is 2:30 ABC for that game. It is the Johnston RV Center Saturday preview. Johnston RV Center right there on I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 indicator. Always online, johnstonrvcenter.com. They got a warranty on every single thing you buy, a warranty for life on every single thing you buy that is new or under 2 years of age used. You can get it right there at Johnston RV Center, I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 indicator, and johnstonrvcenter.com. Also, Champy's, world-famous fried chicken, champyschicken.com. As we mentioned earlier, Lance has got 15 games up at lanceslog.com. You can jump on board today, right, Lance?
Yep, 15 games right now. A couple of totals sprinkled in there. First game starts at 1 o'clock, and then we've got last kick at 9:30. So, again, we're staying away from the 11 o'clocks. I will quickly give you the 11 o'clocks I like. So these are all winners. I like Missouri. I like LSU. And what else is it? 11 o'clock. Anyway, 15 plays up, so jump on board.
Right. Missouri and LSU. Also, don't forget a couple things. Nextround.store, we got that golf card out. Nextround.store. Dunaway, I was doing the math on this. When you and I both went up and played Limestone Springs not long ago, it's in great shape. I think for the price of the golf card, that's less than what you would actually pay just to play Limestone. So it pays for itself already. $89 right there at Nextround.store.
Yeah, even if it's a wash, you get 3 other courses with that. Great courses. You can get that at Nextround.store. And thanks to our friends at UCA, Urology Centers of Alabama, who are presenting the golf card this year.
Yeah, Nextround.store for that one. 4 great courses: Cross Creek, Limestone, Woodward, and the Meadows, our friends down at the Meadows. So, go get that Nextround.store. Those are limited. Nextround.store for that.
And the other 11 o'clock games, Ohio over Iowa State, and I think Wisconsin will be focused, and I think the offense will come together today. We'll see.
Dunaway and I both had Georgia Southern yesterday. Let's go to a little bit of a later game. Weird kick time, 4 o'clock. Weird game on Peacock. Washington minus 16.5 at Michigan State. A total of 56. LT, you love this Washington team. I don't know that anybody can project what Michigan State's going to do without their head coach, Mel Tucker, today.
Yeah, look, Michigan State's not that good. Washington is. They've scored 99 points this season, second most through their first 2 games of the season in the last 50 years. Michael Penix Jr., one of 4 FBS quarterbacks with a total QBR above 90, and has had at least 400 yards in each of his first 2 games. Last quarterback to do that for Washington, Cody Pickett. You guys remember Cody Pickett? Yep. Terrible pick by the Tennessee Titans back in the day.
Yes, 100%. I remember him.
Yeah, they took Jake Locker and Cody Pickett right out of Washington. Bad picks.
Yeah, but last quarterbacks put up the numbers Penix has in the first 2 games. Anthony Gordon, Washington State, and Pat Mahomes in 2016 for Texas Tech. Penix is playing great right now. And I don't think it stops today in East Lansing. I stayed away from that game, but I think Washington probably rolls.
Yeah, Washington's a much better team. East Lansing is one of those weird positions, one of those weird stadiums you see a lot of upsets, but not today. Too much chaos.
Yeah, too much. And no, no idea what Michigan State's going to be. Later on, 6 o'clock, ESPN, Dunaway, Tennessee, -5.5 at Florida, total of 56.5 at this game. I don't know if I've mentioned it this week, but Tennessee has won only twice in Gainesville since 1972.
Yeah, Joe Milton, though, last week against Austin Peay, very slow starting. What did that end up being, 30-13, something like that?
Yep.
Everything looking ahead for Joe Milton and what they can do this weekend. We'll find out what Tennessee is on the road against Florida. On paper, Tennessee is a 17, 20-point better team than the Florida Gators. Can they put it together? Is Joe Milton the real deal, or will they start having the same issues in Knoxville that Alabama has experienced last week? Will they get to Florida, get tested, and all of a sudden there'll be questions of whether Joe Milton's the quarterback or not, or will everybody start looking for Nico Amilieva over the shoulder there? So I think Tennessee wins this football game today. There's been a lot of hoping and wishing on a bad weekend that we get some upsets, and Florida has been the main focus of that. But they did not look good against Graham Mertz. Volunteers defense wins this game today.
Yeah, I do think the Volunteers defense is much improved. The offense isn't as good as it was last year. Now, the interesting thing is they're running the football. They're leading the SEC in fourth right now in the FBS with 257 rushing yards. And on the other side, against Utah, Florida couldn't run the football. And that's kind of their bread and butter with Montrell Johnson and Trevor Etienne coming into the season. But against McNeese State, it was McNeese State. They scored touchdowns first 7 possessions, and it was all about running the football. On the other side, Jalen Wright is averaging over 9 yards a carry for Tennessee. So I think whoever has more production on the ground will ultimately win this game. I stayed away from it. I do like, much like the Brown Bandit, I like Florida. I lean the over. I had both of those out there, and I ended up pulling them.
As a reminder, all these point spreads and totals we give you come from mybookie.ag. Code next round when you sign on there for a sign-on bonus up to $200 on any deposit of $50 or more. Mybookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Don't forget code next round when you go there. Lance, this is a little bit off the radar game. It is on the NFL Network, 6 o'clock. Troy, a 2.5-point favorite as they host James Madison, a total of 46.5 in this game. James Madison coming off the upset win at Virginia, where they, on the road, stormed the field.
Yeah, James Madison's a good team. But Troy, everybody, the lasting impression is they got dominated in Manhattan, and they did. They were held to 70 yards rushing. They got to get back to what they do best. And that's a bad thing about games like that is, like, Troy needs that paycheck. But when you go to a place like Manhattan and you get popped, you just wonder what it does to your confidence this early in the season. I think John Summerall will have these guys ready, and I think they bounce back. I stayed away from this game. Very difficult game to handicap, but I would have played Troy.
We need one of those buttons that you just hit it so you don't lose your voice of saying, I stayed away from this game. Boom. It's one of those Saturdays. I stayed away from this game. Boom.
I stayed away from this.
I agree with. Stay away from a lot. I got 15 plays.
You got 15.
Just not the ones we're talking about, apparently. Troy, I agree with you. They bounce back. I don't think a win at Virginia is greater than a loss at Kansas State. Give me Troy to bounce back and win this game.
Dunaway, they are this is a weird line because they're at UNLV. They're a 5-point favorite. I don't know how often you get Vandy as a favorite on the road. 57.5 is the total. 6 o'clock, CBS Sports Network. Trying to bounce back a little bit for the Commodores and get it to 3-1.
Yeah, disappointing loss last week at Wake Forest for Vandy. They did not play well. And here's the problem. They're playing probably a helmet with less respect this week in UNLV, and probably a team that's closer to Wake Forest than, say, Hawaii. And Vandy's got a chance to lose this game outright. I would not play this game. I stayed away from it. But if I did play this game, I would play UNLV in this contest.
Yeah, I think I would probably lean UNLV. I don't know where Vanderbilt is right now. I like A.J. Swan. Will Shepard's got multiple touchdowns in every game, so you've got a playmaker there. This is, and this sounds stupid, really important game for Clark Lee, though. You know, I don't know if you're ever going to have a lot of success at Vanderbilt. James Franklin probably had the most success we've ever seen, but Clark Lee is one of those likable guys. It seemed like it was a better product last year, but this is one of those games you've got to win.
Yeah, they should be 4-0. They should have won last week against Wake Forest. They were, I thought, a better team without Sam Hartman there. and then you would beat UNLV and you'd be 4-0, and you'd have a realistic shot if I can steal 2 in the SEC of going to a bowl game. And now if you've lost one, you lose this one, you're going to be same old Vandy at that point.
What about South going on the road, Lance, to Oak State, -7. Oklahoma State only a touchdown favorite in this game. ESPN Plus streaming here, 6 o'clock in Stillwater, a total of 48.5. I mean, when you see that number like right there, you got to like the Jags' chances of being in this game.
Oh, yeah. Look, I had the Jags all week, and I loved them, plus the now down to 6.5. And I like the under in this game, but I ended up staying away, Dunaway. But I really did like South Alabama bouncing back, much like Troy, better team than advertised right now. And Oklahoma State, I think Mike Gundy just needs to go with his kid Gunner, because you're rotating 3 guys. Alan Bowman is one of those guys, former Texas Tech starter. And there's no rhythm with this offense right now. One of the reasons I want to play the under, and it's almost like I don't want to play my kid. I don't want to start him and let him be QB1 all of the time, because people are going to say that it's just me showing bias.
Yeah.
He needs to make a decision and stick with it, because 2 quarterbacks, tough enough. You heard that from Hugh Freeze last week, but 3 quarterbacks, impossible.
Yeah, I agree with everything Lance just said. I'm surprised Oklahoma State's offense has fallen this far in a decade. Tricky game for them. It could be a big, big day for the Sun Belt when you get a South Alabama beating a Big 12 team.
All right, Samford is at Auburn. Did you ever find a line on this game, Lance?
I didn't.
Okay, well, Samford's a big underdog. Auburn is playing at Jordan-Hare tonight, 6 o'clock ESPN Plus. That will be the game that our on Emily Grace McWhorter, number 13, we affectionately call her EG, will be attending tonight. She joins us now before she heads down to Auburn as EG gets ready to hit the road again. What is up, EG? How are you this morning?
Just enjoying a little bit of a rainy morning, but it's kind of nice.
Oh, is it raining outside?
Lance, you hadn't cracked the window this morning, huh?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was up till, I don't even know what time.
All right, so EG, you're about to head down there. You're going to start the day at Session Cocktail, where you'll do a little Q&A. I know you were in search of some questions yesterday. Do we need to help you, or have you come up with some questions to ask?
No. We have the question of the game day. I'm excited about this.
Okay.
We get some good discussion going about SEC expansion. That's where we're staying, talking Texas and OU. And we're going to get some Auburn fans' opinions. After a big weekend in Tuscaloosa, we're just going to see what the happenings are, if you will, on the plains.
Oh, interesting. You're going to be at Sessions, and you'll get there. What time do you think you'll get there? This is your first drive from Birmingham on a game day to Auburn. How long do you think it'll take to get from where you are now to where you want to go?
I'm giving myself a little under 3 hours just to make sure that I am where I need to be when I need to be. So I'm going to head out here. It's 9:43. Hopefully in the next hour, I'll be headed out. So
I think 3 hours is a good play. That's a good call. Yeah.
I think you'll be fine. 280 is always fun for an Auburn home game, because our man Mark Meadows, that Chick-fil-A is covered up. So that'll be a little speed bump from you when you go by there. But this will be one of those casual, fun atmospheres where a lot of people bring their kids to see Auburn. And, I think people are excited, though. Talking to Little T yesterday, she's like, I'm just glad we have a coach that knows how to coach football.
Yeah, and I think this game, for me, I'm looking at as an opportunity for Auburn to find their offensive identity. I think that's kind of what they're wanting to get out of this. And especially, you guys heard what Coach Freeze said about the rotation of Robbie and Peyton. It's not going to be like that. And so I'm interested to see what we're going to get today against a Samford offense that likes to get the ball out quick.
Yeah, it is a good offense, and that's the thing. And Dunaway, I know you know the Hires family really well, and for those that haven't followed Samford, their quarterback is on that level.
Yeah,
yes, one of the best in the nation, Dunaway. And I know you've watched this kid grow up.
Yeah, he's a really good Briarwood product, and they had a disappointing loss to start SoCon play, so it'll be interesting to see where they are mentally. I think they pretty much thought, as one of the nation's best teams going to the Final Four in the FCS last year, they thought they would be unbeaten coming into Jordan-Hare Stadium, and that's not the case. So it'll be interesting to see where they are mindset-wise. But they'll put the ball up, and they'll make that Auburn defense play a little bit on the hills sometimes. It'll be a challenge for Auburn at points in this game.
Yeah, and I think Hugh Freeze will be sitting there thinking, God, I wish I could take this Michael Hires kid with me. I think Hires would be starting for Auburn. I don't think that's an overstatement.
I don't disagree, and that is one thing, EG, that Auburn, they struggled on offense last week. So we always talk about get right games. This could be a get right game for them, for Peyton Thorne and Jarquez Hunter and that Auburn offense.
Well, in a way, I think it has to be. They go on the road to Texas A&M next week, and I think this is an opportunity. It is homecoming, so you're going to have a good home crowd. Auburn fans consistently show up no matter the game, and I think it's an opportunity, like we've said, coming off of a pretty shaky offensive game at Cal. They've got some rest, and this is a good kind of let's feel it out. But I think the time for playing it safe has gone, and they need to really get some things into motion and not keep holding things back in the name of kind of keeping it neutral before Texas A&M.
Yeah. E.G. Troy says he can't wait to hear your comparison between Auburn and Tuscaloosa. I'll warn you that is a no-win for you right there, but you can deal with that any way you like. NH3425, he senses a Georgia Southern upset over Wisconsin. He says all the jump around people are going to be crying. I know you want that.
I mean, I have gotten a very warm welcome of all of our fans of this show, and a lot of them are joining me in the Georgia Southern hype, and I appreciate it. I see when I can get.
Okay. All right.
Hey, way too much hype on this game. I mean, I think Washington State, it gets underplayed what they were able to do last week physically against Wisconsin. I watched all of that game. Wisconsin just hadn't figured out this Phil Longo offense. It's so against what they typically do. But they just need to get back to basics. Ches Maluzzi, Braylon Allen running the football, open things up for Mordecai. I think Wisconsin wins the game big.
Now, I'm not going to say anything. I'm gonna stay on this side, and I'm just gonna let the game play out. So then I'm not in hot water.
Bobby says y'all warned 13 about the speed traps in Harpersville and Childersburg.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. Just a little heads up there. A couple towns back to back right there on 280. You may want to observe this posted speed limit in those two. Okay.
And Dadeville.
Yeah, Dadeville will get you too. And you'll see these random, like for some reason 280 they don't time out, they don't change the stoplight timing on game days. I've never understood that. Yeah, you'll get some random backups where you're like, oh my gosh, the road shut down. It's not really. You'll get around it. But,
just a red light.
Yeah, trust ways is what I'm gonna tell you there.
Yeah. Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of them. There's a couple of them, though. Hey, what time are you going to be at session? So if people want to come by and see you and participate and answer the game day question, what time are you going to be at session, Cocktail?
1:30 to about 2:45.
All right, so 1:30 to 2:45 at Session Cocktail in Auburn, and then check out all of her coverage from the game and after the game on all of our social media and YouTube. And we'll see what you get down there. EG, have fun, be careful.
All righty. Bye, guys.
Bye. Take care. That's Emily Grace McWhorter, number 13. Our latest employee. She'll be covering Alabama and Auburn in the SEC for us. She was in Tuscaloosa last week, Auburn this week. She'll be back at Bama Ole Miss next week. So there you go from EG. We're not going to make a pick on that game. Auburn's going to win easy. Louisiana, guys, is coming to Protective Stadium, take on UAB. Dunaway, tough loss against Georgia Southern for UAB last week. This week, they're a 2.5-point favorite, total of 59.5 of this game downtown. Yeah,
completion rate's been good for Jacob Zeno, but they got to tighten it up a little bit defensively and a little bit on offensive line. They'll be challenged physically by Louisiana, but I don't think this is the team Billy Napier left behind. That was a good program for a while. They're still trying to find their identity without Billy Napier and all the recruits that left and went to FBS or Power 5 programs. Opportunity for UAB today, a lot of emotions with the uniforms. Probably Louisiana in a close one, but I'll be cheering for UAB.
Yeah, its number's about right. UAB 2.5, and it's because they're playing in Birmingham. We talked to Trent Dilfer about this. Transfer Fresno State quarterback, starting for Louisiana. He's a dual threat guy, got a lot of experience. So I think this is one of those games. If UAB really wanted to surprise and make a bowl, you've got to win this game today.
Yeah, I would agree. Let's go to the 6:30 slate, ESPN2. Lance, you have a play on this game at lanceslock.com. Arkansas an 8-point favorite over BYU, 47.5. So you'll be a little bit careful here, but it is the first real test for both of these teams.
Yeah, Arkansas was one of the best at running the football last year, and a lot of that was the combination of Rocket Sanders and KJ Jefferson, who's such a mobile guy. But Rocket Sanders has been out. He's dealing with that injury right now. He's not going to be back today. BYU's defense is really good. Their offense, though, is horrible. And Keaton Slovis just hasn't been the same quarterback since we first saw him on the scene 4 years ago. at USC, transferring to Pittsburgh. It didn't work out. Hasn't worked out. Although BYU's 2-0, it's been the defense that's won these games. So this is an interesting game. Arkansas completely dominated this game in Provo last year.
I really am concerned that no Rocket Sanders in this game, but there are other running backs. KJ Jefferson has been so good so far, Brownie. I wish you did not have a play on this one, LT, because we do not have a stake, and I've got a play on this one too that I would like to put a stake on it since I'm 11 up. But
can we do a?
Want me to privately text you real quick?
Let's do a private, and we'll reveal what it was in the postgame show later on tonight.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay, I'll text you as Brown moves us forward here. Champy's Chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster. I'll text you, but I've got a side that I want to play, and if you'd like
Brown,
the other
what is
side,
our official number right now?
MyBookie.ag this morning had it at Arkansas -8, a total of 47.5. Are you okay with that? That's where MyBookie.ag had it.
Yes, Dunaway, I will take that.
You'll take that?
Okay.
Well, Well, yeah, I'll take that. That's fine.
Yeah, no, we'll play it like that. It's a push without the hook. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we will we'll reveal that in the post-game show. I imagine we'll be on tonight after Colorado State, Fresno State, Arizona State in. Is that okay with you guys? Or,
Yeah.
I guess we'll just do the late night unless something crazy happens. But I don't see anything crazy happening. We'll do that. Johnston RV Center bringing you the Saturday preview, I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, always online. JohnstonRVCenter.com. That is JohnstonRVCenter.com. Number one Cherokee dealer in the state of Alabama. That's number one brand in America. And they do it better than anybody at JohnstonRVCenter.com. Prices on those Cherokees starting as low as $199 a month. As Dunaway told you, Champy's Chicken also brings you the show, 119 in Alabaster. Great for a tailgate if you're headed to Auburn, or just the party if you want to stay home and watch it. And Lance's plays, as you see on the screen there, at lanceslike.com. Lanceslike.com. You can get a daily package for today. He's got 15 plays up, weekly, monthly, season long, right there at lanceslike.com. 15 plays today if you want to get on board. And take those over to mybookie.ag and use code next round when you sign on at mybookie.ag, code next round. We've only got 4 more games here. Dunaway, are you going to do a two parlay day today? Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah, you want it right now?
Why don't you do one right now? Can you do them separately, or are they on the same sheet?
They're on the same sheet, but I've already sent it out once, so we can talk about it one time. Let's see if I can get it to come up.
Let's do it. All right, here we go. So Dunaway's first one.
Okay, first one is
a little higher. That right there. There you go.
Okay, is LSU, Georgia Southern, Missouri, and Virginia Tech. LSU, Georgia Southern, Missouri, and Virginia Tech. That is parlay number one.
I think you're on, the right sides outside of the Georgia Southern. I'm just not buying it. We'll see. I mean, everybody seems to be on Georgia Southern.
Well, it did pick up to.
I would hammer Wisconsin.
It went all the way from 19 to 19.5. Now it's plus 20 at my bookie. So that's moving in a bad direction for me, is what you're telling me, right? Yeah. Okay, but that's one of my 2 14 parlays.
All right, so there's parlay number one. He'll get us parlay number 2 at the end of the show. Backyard Brawl tonight. West Virginia playing host to Pitt. Dunaway, West Virginia -2.5 at home. 47.5 total in this game. 6:30 ABC. It was my sneaky good game right there on ABC primetime.
Yeah, and one of the great rivalries in college football.
Yeah,
atmosphere was insane last year in West Virginia this time, so it'll be insane, and that's really the only reason I give West Virginia a fighting chance in this one, LT. Pitt's not as good as they usually are. West Virginia's a little better than they have been, but I still think Pitt is the better team here. Because of coaching for some reason. It just hasn't clicked for Neil Brown there. He hasn't been able to get the roster right. I'm going to take Pitt in a really good football game. Great atmosphere.
I lean Pitt. I thought about playing Pitt. I ended up staying away from this game. But Pitt last week, the thing that scares me against Cincinnati's not a great team this year. They gave up 8 tackles for loss and 5 sacks. And we'll see if West Virginia can take advantage. I agree with you, though. I like Neil Brown, but I think Narduzzi, obviously more seasons. I think he's a better coach. Coin flip game, I lean Pitt.
Neil Brown needs this one for his job, though. This is a rivalry game. A lot of people talk, the old miners, blah, 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 the old money guys that own those mines. This means a lot. He needs this one. Neil Brown needs it bad.
This is a game that is also up at lanceslike.com. He did not stay away from this one. Georgia Tech is at Ole Miss. Ole Miss -18 this morning at mybookie.ag. 63 is the total in this game, a high total here. 6:30 SEC Network. Lance, you've got it up at lanceslock.com, but Ole Miss is looking to be undefeated coming to Bryant-Denny if they can win this one.
Yeah, look, Jackson Dart leads the SEC in yards per attempt, 12 yards per attempt. He can play at a really high level. Ball security can be a problem sometime. I'm not playing a side here. I've got the total in this one. Haynes King on the other side, though. He's been a pleasant surprise, for the guys at Georgia Tech. 603 yards, 7 touchdowns. That matches the number of touchdowns he had in 5 games last year at A&M.
Yeah, what's surprising to me so far is that Ole Miss is behind their last year number by 2.5 yards per carry in running the football. They have not been able to run the football like they wanted to run the football with Quinshawn Junkins and company. Maybe it's because Dart's not running as well. Dart's playing well. We'll see what they're able to do. But right now, not a great feeling about this Ole Miss team with Alabama on the horizon. Could be a tricky game for the Rebels tonight.
It's wild to see Mississippi State running it well and Ole Miss not, isn't it? I mean, it's just, I know I've hammered on that this week, but it's just so weird to see it based on what they've been over the last few years. All right, prime time, or late night, actually, 9 o'clock ESPN. Colorado State is at Colorado. Colorado a 23.5-point favorite this morning at mybookie.ag, 62.5 total. 9 o'clock ESPN. This was just kind of a yawner of a game until Mike Norvell, Lance, went and ran his mouth about prime time. Now, yet again, for the 3rd straight week, Colorado's got something to take personal here, and I imagine they'll take it out on Colorado State.
And Prime went out and bought his team sunglasses.
I know.
Yeah.
Bought.
I know.
Did he buy them?
Yeah, Dunaway. Yeah.
And the brown he's repping, which I hear from everybody that's got a pair, they're $50, and if some places you can buy one, get one free. So yeah, I'm sure. But I do think Prime has got a reason to say, hey, they're poking the cage again. I looked at every angle, and I wanted to back Colorado. I wanted to play this over just to have some action on it. Couldn't pull the trigger on either. So if I'm giving you a lean, I probably play with the public here. I probably play Colorado and over. Still don't trust this Colorado defense, so I think Colorado State will be able to score. But I could see Deion leaving starters late and try to run this thing up.
Yeah, because, every pregame show is there nationally, and they're still putting on a show. And a lot of people, and I think you agree with this, Lance, you think this is the last week that this Colorado party continues. You can celebrate. There's a reason why Game Day chose to be there, and why the folks at the Pac-12 show, the Fox show, wanted to be there one more time, because this Colorado bump in the ratings is about to end because Oregon and USC is on the horizon. So this is the last chance to get there and have this kind of number until the bubble burst.
Yeah, look, when they roll to Eugene, it's going to be a completely different animal. I don't see them stopping Bo Nix and that Oregon offense at all. If they're able to, I can't even imagine with USC being off this week, if USC is undefeated, which they should be, what that ticket price will be in Folsom Field.
By the way, when we're finished here, many of you go to the Big Noon Kick, many of you go to Game Day, but Coach Corso makes his 400th headgear pick. This will be one of the easier ones he's done because Colorado's a 3-touchdown favorite, but that's pretty cool, really. I love Lee Corso. I hope he makes the headgear pick as long as he wants to. It's like one of the things I watch actually every single Saturday. I make sure I see it. Number 400. Dunaway, that's nuts to think about doing anything 400 times, much less that, which he kind of created midstream. It's not like something he started with on Game Day.
No, and there were hats early on and things like that. But I would ask you, LT, to do the math. If you say you do 14 a year, how many years has he been doing head picks at 400?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. Just think about that.
30 years.
Yeah. So it's been 30 years of head picks. Yeah.
That's crazy. I think his record's pretty good now. He's only picking a straight up winner, and sometimes you're going to a game for the atmosphere and the game's going to be a blowout. But I do think his record's actually pretty good there.
Yeah, at Texas last week.
Yeah, he did. He got that one right. Fresno State at Arizona State. Final game we'll talk about before Dunaway gives us his plays for the second leg of his parlay. Fresno State at Arizona State. Lance, it's another game you have up at lancesblog.com. The Bulldogs, a 3-point favorite in the desert at Arizona State, total of 49. Looking for better Jaden Rashada in this game.
Well, you're going to get 2 quarterbacks. You're going to get Rashada and now Drew Pine, the former Notre Dame starting quarterback, along with Tyler Buckner. is finally healthy. So he's going to be playing for Kenny Dillingham. You got two coaches, different paths. Tefford's been doing it for so long. A guy that coached Aaron Rodgers back in the day at Cal when Cal was actually good. And now at Fresno State doing a really good job there. And then Dillingham, a lot of, big expectations for what he can do offensively. I really, really like this game. And I didn't find it until late yesterday, going back through. I mean, I have combed this board backwards and forwards for the last 4 or 5 days. And I found this game last night, and I really, really like this nightcap. So there you go. I don't know what you think about it, Dunaway, but I do have a really good play on this game.
Well, I mean, Fresno State's got the second longest win streak, but sneaky time for Arizona State at home in this one. We could have in my opinion, when the night is done, I think we could have a new number 2 longest win streak in college football. And I think who's next up? Is it Washington to slide in behind Georgia? Somebody like that, yeah.
It's a good question.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I like that.
So, Dunaway, you like Arizona State in this one. Pull the point spread upset at home.
Right there at the base of Old Freedom Mountain, right there in Tempe, Arizona.
FS1, 9:30 tonight is that game. All right, before Dunaway unveils his parlay, let me remind you of a couple things. MyBookie.ag, code next round. You can play parlays there. They've got the cash out bonus. If you don't like that third leg and you've hit the first 2, you can cash out and take that money and use it elsewhere. They've got a sign-on bonus up to $200 for any deposit of $50 or more, and you can use it right away. Use it and win once, and it's yours and yours forever. MyBookie.ag, all of that when you use code NEXTROUND. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.ag, code NEXTROUND. Lance, you've got 15 plays up at lanceslock.com for this college football Saturday.
Yeah, so coming off a 2-1 Thursday night, we were 0-2 last night. I actually tuned in baseball. I had the Mariners against my Dodgers. Didn't work out, so 0-2. Terrible play with Texas San Antonio. I give Army a lot of credit. Played as clean a football as you can play. We bounced back today, 15 games. We will win for you. LancesLock.com. Try us out for the weekend. See what happens. We'll have an NFL slate up for you tomorrow. But 15 plays starting at 1 o'clock today. Jump on board, LancesLock.com.
And we do have single-day memberships. If you just want to try it out, you can do single-day memberships. That works out really well. The 2 things we've texted, I'm good on both of those for stake bets. Is that okay?
Yeah,
both of those are stakes, but both of them Lance has plays on, so I take it. I'm going against Lance's lock on both of those, which is not a good sign. Here's my other half of the 14 parlay. It's one sheet. I like in this nightcap, I like North Carolina, Tennessee, Pitt, and Georgia Tech. So give the points with the Hills and the Vols. Give me the points with Pitt and Georgia Tech. If you missed it earlier, LSU, Georgia, Southern Missouri, Virginia Tech, 8 games. I broke it up to 2 different 14 parlays. Parlays are for professionals only. And remember, as I always say, I'm not good at this, but Lance is. So it says at the bottom every week, lanceslock.com for the winning plays. So these are for my entertainment purposes only. Do not use these. Go to lanceslock.com.
All right, we'll make an official pick on Alabama and Auburn against we'll make up an Auburn point spread. Think about that real quick, Lance. Why?
Well, I can find it. Let me dial out real quick.
Yeah, I would say 27 and a half.
Okay. Dunaway's going to say 27 and a half. I'm going to tell him about Johnston RV Center, I-65 exit 304 in Coleman. 334 indicator, always online, johnstonrvcenter.com. Cherokee is the #1 selling RV brand in America and in Alabama, and they are the #1 dealer in the state of Alabama for Cherokee. Prices starting as low as $199 a month. johnstonrvcenter.com. Lifetime warranty on all new and used under 2 years of age, and a great discount for the military personnel who keep this the greatest nation in the entire world and universe. We are appreciative of that. They are Johnston RV Center as well. Uniform, retired, active duty military, everybody there gets a discount at Johnston RV Center. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 indicator, johnstonrvcenter.com. Dunaway Champy's Chicken also brings you the show.
Yeah, a great place to pour Coke. I'm getting text about what hat do you have on? That's fire. It's a Coca-Cola hat.
I like that hat, yeah.
It's a Coke hat, throwback to the old 80s and 90s look. Champy'sChicken.com. You can get a nice cold Coca-Cola there or whatever you want. Beers, margaritas as well. Great bar. Dine in, dine out. Take it to your tailgate. Hand-cut chicken fingers. Cook to order Southern fried chicken and the Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. It's Champy'sChicken.com. Sterling is the best.
Lunsford saying 33 and a half.
That's about right. I didn't see it. Yeah, that's about right, though.
Yeah.
I think I would play Auburn plus 33 or excuse me, I would play Sanford plus 33 and a half.
That's the way I would go.
Take Auburn plus 33 and a half if you're giving that to me. Yeah, I think Sanford, the way they throw the ball, Dunaway, they'll be playing from behind, backdoor cover in that one, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I could see Auburn win this game 48-21.
Yeah, something like that. What about Alabama minus the 33 and a half there, Jimmy D? What do you think the Tide does today?
Refocus. South Florida is not very good. If you've got some injuries, you want to get them healthy. Hard to lay the 33 number, but I probably would if I was going to play this game. I would opt out of this one if I was Lance, but I would go with the multiple quarterbacks needing to get a good look at them because I'm not sure Tyler Buckner is going to come out there and win the job today. I think you'll still get Jalen Milroe and maybe even some Ty Simpson. So I would probably say Alabama keeps the starters in longer than expected. Give me Alabama minus the 33.
Yeah, I thought about playing South Florida here because I think it's going to be choppy. I don't think there's going to be any fluidity with this offense because, like you said, they're going to try to figure out how to balance. How many snaps is Buckner getting? How many snaps is Milroe getting? Are we going to get Ty Simpson in the game? So I think it'll be around the number, but I would lean playing the Bulls here.
Yeah, Buckner's 1-2 as a starter. Only started 3 games at Notre Dame. 1-2 as a starter, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Everybody raving about the Gator Bowl last year. In that game, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, though, in that game. And what was the Jalen Milroe problem last week?
Interception.
Through interceptions. So somebody's got to stop throwing interceptions.
Yeah, at some point you got to stop that. Hey, if you guys over on Disrupt the Media 3 times a week catch McCready and Siskey, everybody know McCready and Tyler Siskey. Tyler he's all down on Colorado's opponents the rest of the year. So here he goes. Here's Tyler's official pick: Colorado State plus the 23 and a half. So Siskey weighs in at Colorado State plus 23 and a half.
Siskey's got bigger balls than me. I couldn't. I faded this team last week, Tyler. I think you heard me talking about it maybe, and I got completely burned. Of course, there's no way Colorado State can be worse at quarterback than Nebraska was.
It'd be hard.
Listen, we brought in a lot of talented people. The one I enjoy watching, I do not miss. If I miss the episode, I catch the shorts that Taylor Corn sends out. Love me some Tyler Siskey. That guy's entertaining and knowledgeable and not afraid to step on toes. Really,
in Disrupt Media, he might have the worst mouth. I mean, it might be. It's me and Little T's close, but I think Siskey might be a little worse. I don't know.
Little T loves that show. She'll come in. I'll come in, and she'll be laughing. I said, "What are you laughing at?" She goes, "I'm watching McCready and Siskey. I love these guys." So it is a good show. Disrupt the Media 3 days a week, and you can find that by making sure you subscribe at Disrupt the Media on YouTube. At Disrupt the Media, give us a thumbs up everywhere you watch us, and catch all those guys at Disrupt the Media on YouTube. A lot of great shows we do there every single week. All right. Everybody enjoy it. We'll be back after the late games tonight unless something absolutely insane happens. I don't anticipate that, but you never know. Thank you to Johnston RV Center. Thank you to Champy's Chicken, mybookie.ag code next round, and also lanceslog.com. For Dunaway, for Lance, Lunsford, Little T, EG, everybody, we appreciate you joining us. We'll see you tonight. Enjoy your college football Saturday.